Joining us now on the phone, former Defense Secretary, former CIA Director, former Chief of Staff for Bill Clinton, Leon Panetta joins me now on the phone. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Tell us what your thoughts are on this day, having been in that Chief of Staff job, and perhaps the difficulties and challenges that Kelly faces.
Well, I think a great deal of John Kelly. He was my military aide for almost 2 years when I was Secretary of Defense. He's a tough Marine. He's a dedicated public servant. But he strongly believes in discipline and in a strong chain of command and in accomplishing the mission, and has very little tolerance for chaos or for people that don't follow orders. So, it could be one of the best personnel changes that President Trump has made in 6 months, if he's willing to accept some of the discipline and better chain of command that could bring some order to the White House. If he could do that, this could be a good relationship and a good move. I
think you were on the phone when I was asking that question about everyone reporting to him. That is a key element of how the Oval Office works, right?
I always believed as Chief of Staff that you need one Chief of Staff. Others need to report to one Chief of Staff. That's the only way you can operate effectively as president, is to be able to have one person who's able to have the staff do what they're supposed to do in order to support what the president wants to achieve. That's the best way to try to get the job done.
Secretary Panetta, in this time, it is a very dangerous time with North Korea's missile launch today, another ICBM, Iran, Syria. You look around the world, Venezuela this weekend. Is it comforting in some sense to have someone with General Kelly's experience at the president's right side?
Oh, I don't think there's any question that I feel a hell of a lot better about having John Kelly in the room and in the Oval Office when it comes to dealing with the crises that the president has to confront abroad, as well as dealing with the need for greater discipline within the White House operations. He is an adult, and he's a man who really does believe in national security for this country. He's fought for it, and he's fought in some very tough battles. So it is great to have people like John Kelly, General McMaster, and General Jim Mattis. To have that trio working for the president, I think is a real plus when it comes to national security.
You mentioned it earlier, but as Defense Secretary, he was an aide for you, working with both sides of the aisle up on Capitol Hill?
That's correct. He was my military aide, was the person who was in touch with the military establishment at DOD, but he also dealt with congressional inquiries that came in from both Republicans and Democrats. So he's got great experience, not only in Washington, but also in understanding what our military needs to do in order to remain the strongest on the face of the earth.
You know, Secretary Panetta, this is a unique situation perhaps, and we haven't had a president who's kind of had his own printing press, a Twitter account in 140 characters or less. He puts out a lot of information, sometimes policy information. That's a unique challenge for a Chief of Staff.
It is, and if I know John Kelly, I think he'll want to bring greater order to how policy is developed within the White House. He's somebody who believes that policy ought to be developed relying on the people who can provide the best information possible to the president in developing that policy. I think he'll be very concerned if policy is going to be made by tweets. I think he will want the president to get the best advice possible before he makes decisions on key issues.
Understanding you're a member of the opposition party, but have worked with both sides of the aisle, you, in this position, look at this as a comforting move.
Absolutely. As I said, I think it could be one of the most important personnel changes that President Trump has made, assuming that he's willing to accept the discipline and a stronger chain of command that I think is necessary in order for the White House to do its job.
Secretary Panetta, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Brett.